So today I invite Dr. Ramlata Marimuthu ma'am to deliver a light.
So, as introduced, I'm Ramlata Marimuthu. I'm from Coimbatore, and I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to be here in this prestigious August collection. I'm only regretting that I cannot be there in physical mode, so kindly accept my apologies. Uh, Let me talk about the climate change as it is felt today. Climate change, everybody is talking about, and the basis of the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations was created because of the threat of the climate change. And what is climate change? How it is going to affect our future lives? Right now, we are bearing the brunt of this climate change in the ways that we haven't even imagined around 10 to 20 years back. I'm just going to show you what are all those impacts that we have felt till now. The first one is the heat wave. For the past 20 years, everybody has been talking about the increase of temperature or the heat, and it has been recorded already, as you can see, how the heat is. We are not talking about only the temperature, the maximum temperature that we have reached till now. That's what we are talking about. If you can see the maximum temperature, it has been around 50 to 55 degrees always. From for the past 75 years, we have seen that the increased temperature has been a way of understanding how much of heat waves we are getting during the summer months, especially in the tropical regions like India. And of course, there are some deaths recorded, but it has not been very significant or noticeable because every year it is going up and down, but not very significantly. The second one is the tropical cyclones. Everyone will agree that the tropical cyclones recently have increased, as we can see that the number of cyclones, as well as the frequency, as well as the intensity of the cyclones also have increased. And I have given two different maps, one for the global scenario and one for the tropical region that is nearby to India. As you can see, it is what to say, a network of images or lines which shows each one is a cyclone recorded. Then the tropical floods. As you might understand that I am from Coimbatore, I can easily talk about this tropical floods for hours together. Because in Chennai, nearly every 2 years once or 3 years once, we get flood. The whole city is flooded. And as you can see from here, from 1943 to 1993, we had only 5 or 6 floods. But if you see from 2005 to 2021, which is just 16 years, you can see how many floods have affected the areas. I do have the data for 22, 23, also now 24, but it is the same, like the same areas affected, the same number of floods we are seeing every year. Then global warming. Now it is not global warming, as UN chief has told, it is global boiling. So you can see the surface air temperature, how it is increasing towards a particular month in every year. Though we cannot see a sizable increase in the temperature, we are able to see, we are able to feel the increase in the heat, and that actually affects our performance. And why is it so? Because we have been destroying the greeneries, and of course the population is increased. There are so many reasons, all converging towards making it hot. And the number of vehicles are increased. Naturally, our governments are also taking steps to reduce this global warming, but the speed with which we are responding to this pandemic, I would say, pandemic is not enough. Now, where we are going to feel the impact of the climate change in the future? Overall, you can see that these are the areas: agriculture, human health, natural resource availability, especially the water, biodiversity and ecosystem, and women. I will tell you why I am emphasizing something about women, but let me be brief about it. Let me see how much of impact we have on the agriculture. Here, the only areas, this is for 2050, 2080, and the only area where you can see green are the areas cultivable. You will have food only from this part of the world, and imagine the rest of the whole of the world is to feed on whatever is available within this area, which is totally insufficient. Then human health. We have seen COVID, we have seen the aftermath of COVID, how many viruses are coming up, and these are all the direct impacts. We have heat exhaustion, the diseases through viruses, vector-borne as well as the waterborne. Then the quality of the air is deteriorating and the respiratory problems are coming up, allergies, mental health impact, and as I explained just now, food security, which is a threat. And indirectly, it is also going to impact our total healthcare system, our nutrition, availability of food, and it is going to increase our injuries and fatalities, and naturally, overall well-being of physical as well as mental health will be affected. Water scarcity. Of course, we have seen now the increase of water scarcity in different areas. Here is a map showing how much of water scarcity is going to be there by 2100. And so many reasons are there, and these are all some of the reasons that have been given by the climate news in Colombia. Biodiversity and ecosystem, you can see from the picture itself how it affects the corals inside the ocean. So this is only one example, and here I have given a list of the things that are going to be affected. How many species are going to be extinct, and we might be one of them, though not in the near future, thank God, but still we should be able to predict that. But our lives are going to be hell if we are not going to change our ways of life, at least for our future generation. Because we are losing the natural resources one by one, and we are increasing the Earth's, the dependency on the Earth is very high, we know that. But at the same time, we should also be able to preserve it. No preservation has been done till now. This is what I was talking about on women. We know that we are the vulnerable population, and there are some more vulnerable population amongst ourselves. At least we are able to open our mouths and talk about all these culture differences and difficulties, issues, everything. But there are people who are not even able to talk about it, because one thing is they don't have the time to talk about it. See this woman who is going to walk 12 miles to get water for her family in Africa. And the other one, totally different. This woman, she is taking care of her whole family when her home is lost. Everything is lost because of the tropical floods. So we know that we are the ones, the women are the ones who will be looking after the livestock, agriculture, and family, the more vulnerable ones than the women, the children. So everything is going to be a burden for a woman if she is going to face all these because of the climate change. So how artificial intelligence can combat the global climate crisis. For mitigation, of course, everybody is talking about the renewable energy sources. By using these renewable energy sources, we can reduce the carbon footprint, and technology like Google DeepMind, that helps in reducing the energy consumptions in data centers by 40%, which are the major ones consuming energy. Now, how do we adapt this AI and use it for our own purposes? Of course, the governments are taking steps in AI prediction for hurricanes, floods, and other issues that are coming up, not only because of the climate change, but because of any natural calamity. And the other one is the urban planning, where we can optimize the city layouts for better drainage and reduce sea islands. And this one we can see as an example of Chennai, where only because of the city layout, the worst city layout, we are feeling the floods every year. And then, of course, the agricultural resilience, where AI can minimize the water use and boost yield. The third one is the big data for a big challenge. We are getting data from everywhere. Now the world lives on data. So AI is the only one which can easily work on such a big voluminous data, and also predict and analyze, finally giving out an understandable answer solution or a solution. Hello?
It's audible, ma'am. Please continue.
Then natural language processing. This summarizes the climate research for policymakers. So what are all the challenges that we need to address? The energy consumption. Of course, AI models are also going to consume so much of energy. Then naturally, the data bias, because we are the ones who are going to feed the data into it. And accessibility. Limited AI tools are available for the developing nations. The road ahead is innovative applications. How we can do it through collaboration, not only for the governments, but also for the private sectors, for the individual, for the academic institutions. We need to collaborate with each other. We need to avoid reinventing the wheel by sharing the data, sharing the best practices. And of course, the policy and the ethics has to come from the governance frameworks by the governments. So this is a call to action. There are many quotes on AI, but the most important one is the technology alone cannot save the planet. It needs our own collective will and action. So I hope every one of us will take our own initiative and also collaborate with each other to increase our own impact on this climate change and contribute towards reducing the climate change. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are on.
I can see one hand raised, Sujata Sayan. Is there any question you would like to ask?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Ramlata, ma'am. I request you to stay online.
Sure.
We will connect for the panel discussion.
Thank you.
To go ahead with the lightning talks, before that, I would request Dr. P.R. Lakshmi Ishwari ma'am and Dr. Harshita ma'am to please join me on the dais. Moving ahead with the next lightning talk, I'd like to introduce Dr. PR Ishwari ma'am, who is presently working as Scientist G and Center Head of CDAC, Hyderabad. Her interests, areas of interest include R&D in end system security, embedded and Internet of Things security, mobile device security, and blockchain technology. She also, with her team, developed and deployed various endpoints and mobile security solution. She actively contributed to various cyber security skilling activities, especially software security. She is associated with CDAC for past 24 years in various R&D solution development and capacity building initiatives. Earlier, she worked as a lecturer in NIT Warangal in Computer Science and Engineering Department for more than 2 years. She completed her PhD and MTech in Computer Science from JNTU Hyderabad. I'd request ma'am to deliver the lightning talk.
So very good evening to all of you. Hope I am audible to online participants. Can anyone confirm?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Very nice. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So I'll be talking about this security challenges with IoT devices for the next 15 minutes or so. So actually, like if you look at it, when we work with the various IT systems, okay, whether it is at work or at home or whatever it is, so we have different types of endpoints used through which we are carrying out our activities. Okay, so some might be students, some might be working professionals in a corporate or maybe in a college, or some might be in a critical infrastructure or any kind of defense environment, whatever it is. We all work with an endpoint at the sitting in front of a system and carrying out that. So general purpose computing endpoints are something which can be used multiple people, where we try to host different types of applications. Okay, so and at any point of time, multiple applications can be deployed on the same mission and we can carry out the work. And similarly, though again they are general purpose only, but at the enterprise level, we restrict the applications. When you talk about any organization, they don't allow you to install whatever you want to install in that, because there is a business objective, there is a goal for the organization. So as per the requirement, the specific applications and all are installed, and they expect the person with that role need to carry out the activity using those applications. Similarly, we have server endpoints where we host the applications which are accessed by multiple people. And in the recent times, we are very much using the virtualized environments, okay? VDI environment, the virtual machines, containers like that. Or especially when you talk about access the resources on demand, that is a cloud kind of thing. So virtual machines are something which is very, very critical. And another important thing is the handheld devices or embedded devices which are available everywhere. Like you talk about a printer, you talk about a Wi-Fi router, you talk about a CC camera, you talk about some industrial control system environment devices. So they are all again embedded endpoints, but they are embedded devices. They are meant for a specific task where the software is binded with the device to carry out that task, where you don't carry out any interaction the way we do on a general purpose. And another important thing is they may be slightly the same network endpoints or embedded systems, but we have mission critical environments where there are very, very stringent security requirements in those environments. We depend on the endpoints, right? So because even a small compromise can be hundreds of crores of losses also can happen. Like that, we have different kinds of endpoints, and you may connect them through the wired or wireless networks, right? Now let us come to the IoT. See, IoT now, if you look at it in the present cyber physical systems, these IoT devices are everywhere. So we are through these devices, we are trying to sense the physical world and trying to carry out the various activities, right? So either for surveillance purpose, either hotspots or whatever it is, or precision agriculture, where you try to sense the atmospheric humidity or soil moisture or something like that, where you want to connect to the physical world and try to understand or sense the parameters and try to carry out the different tasks. So we are very clear about these are some things which are proliferating like anything, and it is expected that 50 billion devices will be in use worldwide by 2030, and by 2025 almost like 1,52,200 IoT device would be connected every minute. Okay, these can vary from home routers to IP cameras, maybe our washing machines or whatever it is, to industrial control systems or missile launch stations, anywhere it can be. Okay, and another important thing is when I talk about IP camera which is used for surveillance here, the same device may be used in a defense premises, but the security requirements vary. Maybe. Okay, that's the kind of thing. So these are the requirements. And these devices support many application domains, whether it is manufacturing, healthcare, smart cities, communication, transportation, agriculture, any kind of domain, we are actively using these devices. Now, let me talk about the scenario, threat scenario, whatever we have. Now, if you look at it, hardly like when you suppose for 5,000 rupees or 4,000, you get these IoT devices. Wi-Fi routers, set-top box, they have a firmware inside, or maybe CC cameras. Okay, we are just purchasing from outside, right? And we are deploying, and we are getting that functionality, like whether it is for surveillance, you are getting the video feed or whatever it is at some particular point. Similarly, for Wi-Fi router, you are able to get the internet connection and other things. See, with that 5,000 rupees, whatever is the device, so whether really they are able to make a robust security in the device or not is a big question, right? See, initially we never started that we will utilize to this extent. So started using them, but proliferated so much, just like our smartphones. Now we cannot roll back. Is it right? Every day we face challenges, FedEx scam, this scam or that scam, or your son is under this thing, some problem, something like that. Very, very serious issues are there, but we cannot roll back. We have reached that stage. Same thing is happening with IoT devices. So they are so much connected with our activities day to day, we cannot roll back. And if you analyze, because of the nature of the device, and we are importing all those devices, okay, and the size of that 5,000, 4,000 like that, because the cost and other things, what is happening is they are enabling the required functionality to us, whatever the device has to do, but without giving the enough security, by compromising the security. That is something which is very, very sensitive. Okay, now let me talk about one device, Mirai malware, how it has targeted. So we have Wi-Fi routers everywhere. When you talk about the Internet of Things, all these things are connected over the internet. Now, most of the time, if you look at it, when you purchase these devices, and once you install the devices, you don't change the passwords. You always utilize the default password, admin123. We continue. But once you deploy the system in your environment, you need to make sure that you are going to change the password. That's a requirement. You should not continue with default. There are some 60 factory enabled default passwords available. They say, okay, these are possible 60 given across all the devices. If the adversary or attacker is aware about all these things, okay, he will try through the various services like Telnet with web interface or with SSH ports. Actually, they'll connect to the devices and try all these default passwords. If they are able to successfully enter into the device, what does it mean? They got the complete access to the device, admin access. So then what this has done is, this particular thing is that now these devices, once the adversary tries to get all the vulnerable devices having the default passwords, he will give a report of this to the report server, telling that these are all the IPs or addresses of all the devices where the default passwords are continued, or these devices are vulnerable. You can brute force and penetrate into the system, or with the default. Then the report server, what it will do, it will try with that and then try to identify the partition on the device and then try to install the Mirai bot. Mirai bot is a malware, okay, which gets installed. Botnet is a malware. So where bots are the agents, malicious agents installed across all the endpoints, and there is a command and control server. All the bots listen to the commands given by the command and control server. If it says you launch an attack, a denial of service on one particular server, they all will attack to that. So millions of devices, when they try to attack, you can think about the impact also. One such attack happened on the DNS provider, DNS provider, with the denial of service attack. Almost 1.2 million IoT devices were involved in that. They brought down GitHub, Twitter, and many other things were inaccessible for hours together. Okay, so these are kind of impact the IoT devices security threat can happen. So the adversary or the crook or the bad people uses this device by various means. Either vulnerabilities or loopholes can exist in the hardware or firmware or application software, like for example, maybe with the telnet web interface, okay, and connections as attack surface or through communication channels. So attack surface can be anything. They can, as I told, these are low cost devices. They are designed with the functionality of the device in mind, but not the security aspect. So attack surface is large, small devices, but attack surface is too large. They'll exploit all these kind of things. So as their internet enabled, adversary can scan these devices looking for open ports, vulnerabilities, web interface, and any active network services, telnet, secure cell, and all these kind of things. So there are plenty of the threats actually. As I told, weak passwords and other things like that. So a lot of things are possible with this. So coming to the security, because actually why I'm trying to highlight is there's a lot of requirement for carrying out the research in this particular domain. One is to evaluate the security of the device. Another thing is design protection mechanism, lightweight protection mechanism suiting the requirements of the device. Very, very important. Incorrect access control. The challenge is, as I mentioned, they may come with the default passwords or very, very weak passwords and other things. Okay. So that is how you can always penetrate into that particular large attack surface, firmware level vulnerabilities, then application level, network communication, all these kind of things, outdated software. See, now if you look at our desktop machines or talk about our servers and other things, we update the things actually regularly. We get the updates and then we try to install the updates actually. Whereas IoT devices, because of the nature of the device, and there is no proper mechanisms for the delivering the updates. Most of the time they are with the outdated versions of the software. Lack of encryption because of the size of the device. Even if the encryption is there, key length will be very small. So with the brute force, you can definitely try to break it off. Software vulnerabilities, because as I mentioned, these devices, low cost devices, were designed without following the proper secure coding practices or secure HCLC. So that's why a lot of vulnerabilities will continue to be there in the devices, which can be the channels to exploit and then carry out the malicious activities. And vendor security posture. Most of the time, vendor does not have a proper system to properly update and try to give the next latest other versions and other things like that. Just once they give it, that's it. Okay. Lack of trusted execution environment. This is again very, very important. Most of the time, see what happens is we talk about application compromise and all. But what if the compromise of the operating system, firmware level, what is the mechanism? How do you? So there should be a mechanism where trusted platform module or some chip level, we should try to store the details so that you can detect in case if there are any issues and all. Okay. And many times we don't have proper logging mechanism. In the desktop environment, we have a lot of logging happening. So that logging helps us to identify the attacker footprints and try to see whether any intrusions are happening and all. Whether no logging mechanism, so intrusion and all will become big this thing. And insufficient physical security. Many times they are deployed everywhere in the fields and other things. So the physical access directly to the adversary. Okay. So that is another thing. And another most important thing is whenever you try to access these devices, the user interface is not that usable or user friendly, where people can look at the configuration and try to enable the security easily. Most of the times that somewhere the change in password will be there. Many people don't even notice that there is a feature like that in the device also. So these are some of the very, very important things which we need to look at it. On top of it, what is that which we need to look at it is like security by design is something which we need to follow whenever we are trying to design such things. So this is something I want to tell always, like typically whenever we talk about designing any security solutions, any security solution, whether you talk about antivirus, firewall, intrusion detection system, or any kind of latest things, they should fall under these two categories. Either it should be of a positive security model or it can be of a negative security model. When I talk about a firewall basically, if you talk about the firewall rules, what happens is that by default, deny all is a rule placed. On top of it, you start enabling or whitelisting the ports. I want to enable 443 port. I want to enable 980 port. I want to enable these kind of IPs like that. You start whitelisting them. So this is basically based on the positive security model. What does it mean is this particular solution is working. You know what has to be whitelisted, what has to be allowed. You are clear with that. And you try to enforce policies like that. But traditionally, if you talk about antivirus traditionally it is based on blacklisting principle. That means our negative security model. What it does is there is the antivirus scanner residing on your system, and whenever a new malware is identified, then there is a signature given to that. Okay, signature is generated, and the malware signatures are updated into your end systems. So what are they? Known bad. Your signatures are nothing but known bad things. If something enters into my system, immediately my scanner should detect and block it. So traditionally antivirus is based on that. But if you look at it, see why I'm trying to highlight is whenever you try to do any research in this domain, there is lot of scope to optimize how best these positive and negative security models can be utilized based on the requirements of different environments. I'll come back. Okay, I'll just tell you challenges in addressing malware issue exclusively with the negative security model is as the number of malware is growing, and every hour if the new malware comes, then it becomes difficult to maintain the blacklist. Okay, right? And similarly, especially if you talk about, I want to use the positive security model. In this case, we need to be very, very clear with the what all to be allowed. Let us say I have a desktop, 100 applications are there. So there are a lot of things which come along with the operating system, which come with the third parties. Whitelisting them becomes very, very difficult in a general purpose computer, right? But I can go for a blacklisting there. Whereas I just suggested this particular practical security model or framework. When you move from general purpose environment towards the stringent or focused critical mission critical environments and all, you can move away from negative and go towards the positive security model. As you are, because if you target about embedded systems or mission critical environments, there is a clear software associated with that, and they are coupled with that environment. You cannot go and try to install a new things, keep just something just like you do on a general purpose. You may not be doing on a mission critical or some kind of strategic agencies, right? Or even if you talk about embedded system. So it is meant there is a software binded to that, coupled with that, and it is meant only for that particular task. So in that environment, you can try to think, definitely look at a better positive security model. I cannot think about antivirus deployed on an embedded systems. Updating the virus database is difficult. At same time, it is not required all that. You need to think about a optimal solution. Whereas general purpose, I cannot think about a whitelisting. So, like applications. See, you want to install, your son might be interested to install some game. Okay, it's not that much security is important here. But multiple applications relevant to the people who are using that should be allowed. Like that, I think we need to look at it. Most of the time, we think that antivirus means everywhere antivirus, everywhere this like that. But optimizing all these things, and even there's a lot of scope also in coming out with the lightweight solutions. Okay, this is something. And coming to this, actually, we do a lot of work in this domain where security by design is one of the things which we are trying to emphasize. And we even come out with a course also, because nowadays, many students, like when they go to the industry, they learn programming language, but many times the gap is in secure software development lifecycle. That is something which we emphasize. At the same time, we have done good amount of research for over 3 years period to come out with a document or procedures to evaluate an IoT device. Now the problem is, railways want IoT devices, CC cameras, hospitals want devices, colleges want devices, but there is no standard to evaluate the device. But why these people should worry? They just need to have an assurance that these devices which I am purchasing, they are evaluated by someone, security tested. But the question is, how do you test the device? The practices are required. Even labs require that support. So we have done some work, and we came out with a procedure document, so which we have distributed to the various labs like STQC and all. Now they are utilizing this particular thing to evaluate the device. So how secure is, what are the vulnerabilities at the hardware level, firmware level, so like that. Okay. So there's a lot of scope, and you can always explore many things in this particular direction. Especially, I keep telling everyone, as long as new technologies are emerging, cyber security is evergreen. Okay. So with the new technologies, there is a convenience to the end user. At the same time, you try to efficiently adopt something. At the same time, the same convenience and efficiency is there even to the adversary. The new technologies are bringing. They keep trying all these things, right? So there is always work in the cybersecurity domain. Okay, so that's it. There is plenty of opportunities. Yeah, job guarantee. Yeah, right. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, definitely we'll be a bit scared, or we might think twice before we open any website or we try to connect any variable that we use. But again, we overcome the fear in next 1 or 2 days because of our daily routine and get back to the normalcy. But it's a lesson to all of us that yes, the fear will be there definitely within our inner self, in order to look into the pros and cons, especially while using the, as you mentioned, the smart wearable devices, and of course the different websites and other things. So going into the next talk, lightning talk, we have over here Ms. Harshita Indukuri, who's the senior manager of R&D layout. Her topic is shaping the future, innovations in sensor technology. Harshita Indukuri completed her diploma in electrical engineering with specialization in industrial electronics and instrumentation from GIOE in 2004. She launched her career at Qualcore Logic Limited as a layout engineer, where she worked on custom silicon layout projects at Qualcore Logic, at the TI Offshore Development Center. In 2010, she completed her BTech in Electronics and Communication from JNTU. Since then joining AMS Semiconductor India Private Limited in 2006. Harshita has advanced to the position of Senior Manager for the layout stream. In this role, she oversees custom IC layouts from individual module design to chip integration, ensuring compliance with DRC, DFM, DFY, and EMC standards. She is also skilled in managing TSV and CSP packaging requirements and handling GDS2 transfers to fabrication units, leveraging her extensive experience with various CMOS technology nodes. Like as Madam was talking about more job opportunities in cybersecurity, I also believe now there is a boom in your area as well, because now we can find that the students are migrating towards electronics, especially in such layouts and in such hardware manufacturing devices. So I would give the time to you to talk.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah. And I'm Harshita. So I have been with AMS Ostrom from past 20 years, and I'm working in the layout domain. I think at least to briefly explain about my job part. So in semiconductor industry, I think which is now more prominent with the new new inputs coming from also the government to put up more semiconductor manufacturing units. Okay, so I am working on the layout domain, where it's like whenever we plan for an IC, we'll have an architecture planning, then we do the design of all the sub-blocks related to the architecture, then we implement the physical layout, so without which basically the IC is not work at all. So the layout is most important. So after this layout, then we do packaging, and then we it goes into the packaged unit called IC, okay, which everyone is using it more often. Okay, but there is a lot of work which is going within the IC. So we will now talk about few advancement which are coming into the ICs. Yeah, so now with the latest sensor technology coming up, okay, and we are actually using sensors in each and every place. We can say we have sensors in mobile, we have sensors in the wearables, we have in future maybe we'll be also seeing sensors in the glasses. So it's everywhere. So I think how we can achieve best with the sensors. So we have few types of sensors. We have one is light sensors, which are mostly ambient light and proximity sensing. And then we have biosensors. Biosensors are mostly used for the vital sign monitoring, the SpO2 measurement. I think you can all see this in the smartwatches. And also we have for the I think, and then we have image sensors where we use this for the facial recognition and also augmented reality. And coming to the next, when we have to use sensors, we need also a signal which we need to sense. So mostly here we are using LEDs, micro LEDs and lasers. LEDs and micro LEDs are used in the proximity sensors. and lasers and lamps are used for the display management. And also we need to advance in the optical and micro modules, because when we are using sensors, so for example, I am talking about sensors in mobile phone. Okay, the mobile phone, we can see everything on the screen, and let us identify where the sensor is. So you don't have any place to place the sensor. So now we have sensors behind the OLED. Okay, and to use this in an optimized way, we need to have the optimized packages. So we need micro optical package and optical modules where we have the right placement of emitter and sensor, so that we are not seeing any deviation in the signal we are seeing on the mobile, but still the functionality of the sensor is still taking place. And it's not only sensors. Now we have to also integrate everything so that it's working fine. Yeah. So we need emitter device drivers, sensor interfaces, and sensor processors, which will integrate all sensors, emitters, and everything into the module, and we use them in an IC. So let us see what are the different applications in these sensors. We have applications in mobile and wearables, mobility, like mostly automotive applications, and we have industrial, lighting applications, and medical and health. In mobile, so how it helps in mobile? So in mobile, the sensors will enhance the user experience. So one is by display management. So I think most of the time you might have used this feature, like let us do auto brightness on your mobile. So it is nothing but we have ambient light sensors in the mobile, which will sense the light in the environment, and it will adjust the brightness of the screen. So this is a feature which will really enhance the user friendly operation. And then we also have the proximity sensors in the mobile, which will also help us use efficiently the power management on the display. And now let us see the applications on the camera enhancement. We also have the ambient light and image sensors in the camera, okay, which will help take the picture with more focus and more balancing. So this will, like, mostly now very less people are using professional cameras. Everyone is using camera as a basis for the photograph. So we also need the picture which is very clear for the best requirement. So for that we have the sensors in the mobile which will help in the camera. And then we have few more uses in the wearables. We use mostly in the vital sign monitoring, fitness tracking, and patient monitoring. So this is mostly the advanced applications. Now most of the doctors are also trying to use these vital sign monitoring features, which either in the smartwatches, or they also have advanced equipment which they just use it on the skin and they get all the data. And also the augmented reality is that you can see the vision on the glass directly. You can actually gesture on the glass and you get the update in the glass, the next picture or what you want to do. So this is all future. I think you will be seeing them and the future applications. And then coming to the mobility. So now everyone is driving autonomous cars. So we have many things like ADAS feature, we have a auto braking system, and all these are already we are having sensors in the car. So one of the few applications is forward lighting. So based on the brightness of the light which is available outside, okay, the car will adjust itself to have the auto lighting, where it will increase the brightness or reduce the brightness based on the brightness outside. And then ambient light inside the car. So this will help us having a relaxed mode and also a pleasant environment inside the car, and some comfort features. And finally, we also have the sensors for the precise driver monitoring. So now mostly we are going forward for autonomous driving, and few are semi-autonomous. And here we want to detect if the driver is fully awake and driving, or if there is a problem, or if they are falling asleep. So this will happen with the 3D sensing of the face of the driver. And based on his gestures and also with the available data, it will automatically understand, it will give a gesture to the either on the steering wheel or somewhere, and it will make sure that the driver is waking up. So this is just an additional feature which will help us be in the more safety. And next, we will talk about the industrial applications. So industrial applications are now, I think they are most advanced. So as industries and factories are increasing day by day, now we also need automation. So I think like mostly it will be all the movement of the items or the boxes and also barcode reading, everything will happen through the robots or the automatic machines. Then we'll talk about the lighting. So for the lighting applications, we can use them in the horticulture or agriculture, where we can control the light emitted or the control the multiple colors and make sure we give the required lighting needed for the crop or the plant. So by doing this, we can also save the energy and increase the output of the crop. And we have outdoor and indoor lighting. So this is mostly the street lighting or also in the home appliances everywhere. And the last is the medical and health. I think now the most important and the future where we need is the medical. Here the sensors are most important because nowadays I think the surgeries by cut is less and more we are going for laparoscopy. So when we are going for this, now we need a very miniaturized cameras or miniaturized operating instruments, which is all we do using this sensor. So here also we have the nano eye camera. I think this camera is around 0.5 square mm. I think you can imagine how small it is. So this camera will be moved through the non-invasive method, and then they do the operation. And also we have micro camera endoscopy. We send a miniature camera into the body, and also the surgery is happening only with that, using the camera and the micro needles. And finally, by using sensors, you can have a safe world outside and also more sustainable and more comfortable for the user. So we have sensors in the driving automotive, then industry, medical, and the mobile interfaces. Yeah, these are the different places where we can use our sensors efficiently. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. And as you said, we are surrounded by sensors right from morning we wake up till we go to bed, wherever we travel out. Even in a hospital, we are surrounded by sensors. And it is good to know the advanced sensors, especially the micro miniature ones, and which is very helpful in the medical applications. As you said, that is really a boon because we can see what is inside our body through the lens, that is the camera that is gone in, through the lens of the camera. So very informative talk. I would next request Kumudini ma'am to give her lightning talk. Kumudini ma'am, are you available? Could you just
Yes, I'm here.
So
Just give me a minute. I'll just start sharing.
1 minute, ma'am. I'll just give you your introduction and then you can begin.
Yeah, sure.
So, Kumudini Ravindra, first, congratulations to you, ma'am, on receiving the award of Best WIE Committee Member, which was just declared 2 days before. So, hearty congratulations to you. I'm
Thank you
happy
so
to
much.
have you here. So, Dr. Kumudini Ravindra is a business transformation leader with over 2.5 decades of multidisciplinary and multi-domain experience, a principal partner and strategic innovation standards and sustainability at InnoMantra Consulting, and the chief mentor and founder of Blue Lotus company. Her expertise is in the areas of clean technology, innovation, design, and systems thinking. She is the expert delegate from India on the ISO Technical Committee for drafting innovation management system standards. Recognized thought leader, Dr. Kumudini has worked for more than a decade on outcome-based education. She has successfully worked with many institutions and universities in higher education. Dr. Kumudini was the CTO at Nurgo, a US innovation and idea management organization. She's been a serial entrepreneur, co-founder of several clean tech and education-based organizations. She is a multi-domain she is into several multi-domain expert. She has held senior roles as a business strategy consultant, senior business analyst, and systems engineer for several high-tech firms. She holds an MBA from the Department of Management Studies, IISc, and BE from the UVCE Bangalore University. She has the university rank holder and won several awards. She's an active IEEE member, and with the more than 15 years of volunteering service. She's been with the power and energy sector. She's been with the women in engineering and several domains. So, ma'am, without any delay, I give the stage to you to talk about the innovation and emerging technologies.
Thank you so much, Hari, and congratulations to you too and your Women in Engineering Hyderabad affinity group for the best affinity group as well. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
And can all of you see the screen?
Yes,
Just
we
wanna
can.
confirm. Okay. So thank you so much. Also, thanks to Padmasai ma'am for inviting me as well. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there in Hyderabad, but I hope this presentation is well received. So without wasting too much time, the topic that I'm talking about today is about innovation and emerging technologies. And the panelists before me have already spoken quite a bit about different technologies that are emerging and also the current context. So I will not spend too much time on them, but I'll just barely allude to them because I think it's also important. So if you really think about today's context, and I think Ramlata ma'am really put it really well, that this is our reality. In fact, if we are not facing a drought, there is a storm. If there isn't a storm, there is sudden changes in temperature. We have higher highs, lower lows. And she also mentioned about how COVID changed quite a bit, but it's not just been COVID. Now you hear lots more such diseases that are spreading. And if that isn't enough, we also are plagued with a whole lot of wars that are happening all around. And given this being our reality, I would like to kind of take a pause here and actually highlight that, like again, Ramlata ma'am mentioned that, it's not global warming, it's global boiling. I would probably say that we have moved from what we used to call a VUCA world, which is a volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and hyper-connected world, into a fragile, transient, and paradoxical world. So it is an FTP world that we live in. We are in crisis mode. And the thing about this is fragility is something that, especially with COVID also, I think all of us have experienced this. It's all about survival. It's not even about thriving or driving. It's actually about survival. And all of us come from engineering background, so we have understood systems. So the highs and lows that we are seeing is more of transient, system behavior. So there is a lot of transience that's happening. So it's not like really steady state. There is no equilibrium that can be achieved. And the world is also paradoxical because we think that we are doing something good and it turns out to be the exact opposite. So it's like anything that you do tends to kind of backfire or seems to be causing the exact opposite reaction within the system. So this is the life that we are leading, and this is the kind of challenges that we are facing. And to add to this mix, we now have the introduction of cyber physical systems, and AI is a reality. And AI is really learning fast. So that's the other thing that we need to really understand how to utilize AI and how to really make better use of it rather than, abuse it. So some of the other challenges that we faced with the world as we know, especially of work, it no longer exists. Jobs that used to be the way forward for most people don't exist anymore. In fact, 50% of all employees across the globe require reskilling. As of just next year itself, I mean, we are already, getting to January, and more than 50% of employees need reskilling. The other very interesting statistic is that 85% of the jobs of 2030 haven't even been invented. So what exactly are we teaching our students, and what are students really preparing themselves for in this current context? The other thing that's happening, emerging technologies, the Industrial Revolution 4.0, it's a fundamental change to the way we create, exchange, and distribute value. And we have barely scratched the surface of IR 4.0. We are already talking Industrial Revolution 5.0. So technology is changing at a pace that's unheard of. And this technological shift is also merging our physical, digital, and biological worlds into one. So cyber, physical, biological systems are going to be the thing of the present. And in all of this, there is, of course, the emerging technology space, and innovation has been thriving in these areas. There is a lot happening. Like I said, technology seems to be at an exponential growth, especially these are the top 10 technologies that have been identified. AI, of course, I think it has really taken on in a big way. AR, VR seems to be very quickly gathering ground. There was a talk about metaverse, but metaverse seems to have gone out. So you can also see replacement of technologies as well. Big data and analytics are here to stay. Blockchain technologies are finding new use cases. Clean tech has to be the order of the day. I mean, there is no possibility without clean technologies. Internet of Things has become normalized. In fact, every single appliance that we have today seems to be intelligent and can respond to us. They are accessible on your phones. Your smartphones have become the way to interact with everybody, including people as well. Advanced robotics is the order of the day. The industries mostly are moving into automated manufacturing. There's additive manufacturing that's happening, cloud computing, and nanotechnology. So if you really see, the technology space seems to be bursting, and it's really alive, and it's really exploding in a way. And innovation has been at its peak in these areas. And this is where I would also kind of want to highlight a few things. For example, I think a couple of my three panelists also referred to this. They were talking about cybersecurity, they were talking about Internet of Things, and how each of these technologies are really changing the way things happen. And while these technologies are all very good, and if used in a good manner, they also bring in a lot of challenges. And I would like to kind of focus more on the challenges themselves. So the challenges of access and affordability. Can everybody really access this and afford these kind of technologies? For example, Ramlata ma'am was alluding to the fact that women tend to have less access to a lot of these things, for example, and they seem to be the more vulnerable. Similarly, children, similarly, the old and the sick, or the differently abled. So access and affordability, though technology is growing at a rapid pace, it is not necessarily reaching everybody in an equal manner. The other challenge is that of quality and reliability. In fact, I think most of you now are experiencing the challenge of using smartphones, and the telecom service providers are unable to match the bandwidth that they have reached. It's like reached its thresholds, and there is a lot of challenges with respect to quality and reliability. But companies are finding it extremely difficult to actually address this challenge. And the other thing, of course, is sustainability. We cannot think of sustainability as being an externality anymore. We have to include this in our design principles, in our innovations. We cannot create solutions that are against the planet Earth, because we have only one planet. We still haven't mastered interplanetary travel. So I think as long as we still have one Earth, I think it's very important that we also focus on this. The other aspect that is becoming more important is circularity. And this also addresses the paradoxical nature. The reason why we get the exact opposite reaction of what we are expecting is because rather than linear scales, these are all circular scales. So we eventually, you move in one direction, you end up and the other side. So it's like going around the earth. So this is something that all of us need to be aware of, and any kind of research and any innovation that's happening needs to address these challenges. I know this slide is extremely heavy, but I just want to highlight that all of these technologies also bring with it specific use cases in the industries. For example, I could possibly take one such thing, for example, energy trading. So blockchain is being used for energy trading, or in semiconductors, rapid prototyping is possible today because of 3D printing and so on and so forth. So these technologies are basically tools that can aid different industries. So some of the industries are mentioned here. Similarly, even in the service sector and interdisciplinary industries as well, these technologies are really taking a lot of, are creating lots of possibility. And all of this is basically the playground for innovation itself. So if any student or any researcher or any startup or even organizations, they want to work on it, you have ready use cases that are waiting at the intersections of these technologies and the industry itself. But given that, I would like to highlight this very aspect, that as much as innovation is driving technology and technology is driving innovation, I think both of them need to really think about sustainability. See, Mother Earth is going to survive no matter what. But it's up to us whether we survive or not. And as a species, if we do not really, clean up our act and start behaving differently, I think we are up for some really serious challenge. Like I said, we are in a crisis mode, and I think it's very important. But technology itself can actually be a wonderful aid and tool to support this. In fact, earlier, my panelists also referred to this in terms of potential solutions to how sustainability can be achieved, how these technologies can be made clean and green. And that's also the reason why I feel it's important for us to kind of understand that there is a value spiral to this technology. Each of the technology goes through different phases. For example, at the very early stages, you have the birth and justification stage. For example, the smartphones initially, when they came in, obviously there would have been a lot of resistance to it, or the fact that it was too expensive, it was too exorbitant. So there is the birth justification phase, then it transforms the market. There is a normalization, so soon everybody is using it. That will do it as well. So all systems, when they follow these circular mechanisms, they go through this kind of a but we are designing our technology. We feel that technology is like going to last forever. I think it's very important that we are creating new technology to create death psychology as well. And that I need to say is as much as technology today in human capital, it also has a lot of so or improvement capital, capital, rather work against the same technology of dynamite. And we so technology is a tool. Technology really doesn't even good or bad. I think very us to be mindful of this. Say, be addressing uh, to say economic aspect. The economic capital, we considering efficiency and considering profits. In social capital, are we considering or are we including inclusion and similarly environmental sustainability? That are technically not made. Are we designing our solutions of quality and reliable service? Some structures also play a very important role. So if technology goes with any kind of regulation, that result where at this point. So I think create of innovation needs to move in that direction. It is technology you have developed, see like there's a sense of response we need to have. So that it's consumption about creation, responsible in our so possibly if we can find principles and in our in technology, for example, biomimicry. So learn from how nature is nature about creating. So can we make technology such that it actually is similar to handsets? Similarly, we need to solutions
Sorry
and
to
diversity.
interrupt, Kumudini ma'am.
Just have 1 minute and I'll be.
No, I believe there is an internet issue from your side. We are able to see your slides, but your voice is breaking.
Okay. Can
We can't hear.
are you hear me?
Could you just speak? I'll confirm.
Are you able to hear me now?
No, it's still breaking actually. It's not clear.
Okay. Let's check. What about now? Now? Oh, thank you.
Ma'am, can you hear us?
Yeah.
But we are unable to listen to you clearly. I mean, past 1 minute from the slide.
Are you able?
No, not it.
First, that's happening from your end.
Yeah, now it's clear.
My end.
Now it's clear.
Do you need me to any slide or should I proceed?
Pardon?
Proceed with.
If somebody online can confirm, it will be great. Is the voice breaking in the online mode as well?
Yes.
It's breaking, Kumudini ma'am. So I think there is an issue from your side.
I'm not sure. Are you? Yes, good to hear. So should I just
Please
or
continue, ma'am. You can please continue.
yeah? So I feel that it's very important for us having these principles. We come from nature, so whatever solution be with nature, so biomimicry is the way forward. We also need to design for the edge. By this, I mean we need to design our solutions to be more inclusive, to consider the have-nots more than the have. And we need to create diversity by design. So monoliths will not work anymore. So we need to create designs in such a way that there is a lot of interconnection, rather than having, single solution kind of a situation or a one size fits all kind of solution. That said, basically what it means is there is going to be more opportunities for plug and play kind of systems. So interconnection is going to be the order of the day. We need to look at information transparency because systems need to talk, has to be, so the moment we start to all, not everybody is adept as the also requires that system. Finally, the decision become decent. So these into our principle, and we are saying technologies. Again, the requirement specs would have democratized and inclusive design as one of its main specs. Autonomy and agency needs to be provided. Interactions need to be provided. Compatibility needs to be there. But we're going to have many plug and play systems, and because of the diversity, the system needs to be flexible and scalable, and efficiency needs to be clear because quality is, and of course, it also plays very important role. I think it's also important for us to skill ourselves. So upskilling where innovation becomes the norm. I think some of the competencies that need to be reintroduced into our education system, which we presently are not addressing, is the systems thinking competence, the anticipatory competence, normative competence, strategic competence, and interpersonal competence. I think this is also very critical. So I think we need to also start, making efforts in this direction as well in terms of upskilling. Finally, this is what I would like to leave you with. See, technology is a tool, and emerging technologies can be even more cool because I think that's at the, at the very edge, and everybody gets super excited. But in the hands of a fool, it will unravel faster than a spool. I know it's cliched, I know it's very cringy, but I think it's very important that we need to start becoming responsible. And like somebody said, remember, artificial intelligence cannot trump human stupidity. And I think um, that is something that I would like to leave you with. So, do we want to be stupid about this, or do we want to kind of use our intelligence to use AI more intelligently? So, thanks a lot. Thanks for the time. And I hope you're able to get something from this presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Kumudini ma'am. Especially when you're talking about the technology and the way how we need to use it, it really matters. Thanks a lot for your session and elaborate one as well. I would like to know if Vijayalata ma'am is available online. Vijayalata ma'am, are you available? I think ma'am is not available. So I think we'll go ahead with the panel discussion with the online and offline members. Because of the time crunch, we will have quick questions and answers which are precise because we are running short of time. So I would like to invite our panelists, online panelists, Kumudini ma'am and Ramlata ma'am also, to please join us along with Harshini ma'am and Ishwari ma'am. I'm happy to be the moderator. The topic of today's panel discussion is Leading the Charge, Women Shaping Trends in Microelectronics, Automation and Computing. So to begin with, this is a common question for all the panelists. So the question is like, could each of you briefly share your journey and what inspired you to take leadership role in your respective domain? So the all four of you are leaders over here and in different domains. So I would request you to just share a brief thing, what motivated you or inspired you to take up this position, and one strong message what you would like to give to the participants in online and offline. First, I'd like to ask Ramlata ma'am, who is very close to me, and I've seen her emerge as a leader and leading most of the women related activities. So ma'am, could you first go ahead?
Sure, Hari. Thank you for asking me this question. Um, it it is an honor to be called a leader in the midst of so many leaders. Thank you so much for that. And I think my thought of leadership comes from being a unique person and wanting to have only unique thoughts. Because as far as I remember from the childhood, I wanted to be the first in trying out things, and I was encouraged by my family and also friends. So I tried out so many things from my childhood, and even like being the first woman in my community to become an engineer. So on the way, I also, because of my passion in teaching, I found out that we can do wonders in rather than going by the traditional teaching methods. So I always have a separate teaching method, and mostly it is practice-based learning. And even for subjects like total quality management, I used to have practice-based learning. So I think that kind of wanting to be unique and wanting to be maybe the first to try out something. I think that is my quality which shaped me. And I'm very happy to have, I'm very lucky, in fact, to have so much of support from friends, from even my students, from my mentors. Everyone supports me even now. um, in my team, in my volunteering position, my mentors, my leaders, everyone supports me. So I have been so lucky so far. Probably that is the reason my family also is very happy with my progress.
Thank you, ma'am. I do know the support that you have because you give the equal support to them, the motivation and the support. So you have the policy of grow all of us grow together. So thanks for your thought. And Kumudini ma'am, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Hari. And I think I can also say that, I do agree with Ramlata ma'am as well. And I had a similar journey. In fact, just now I realized, yes, I was the first woman engineer in my side of the family as well. Never even occurred to me. Uh, but being a leader is about taking risks. It's about putting yourself out there, being vulnerable as well. Because as much as you get to shine, you also get to get the brickbats as well. Uh, but I think that is where learning is for me. Leading was never really, I don't think I put much thought into it. For me, I just wanted to be in the thick of things. I enjoyed organizing rather than participating, creating more than using. So I guess leadership was the normal way forward for me. So that's pretty much it. And I've because of this experience and exploration, I think I've also learned a lot and I've grown. So that's what it is. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kumudini ma'am. Most of us, I think, would be the first generation of women engineers. Thanks for sharing your view. I would like Ishwari ma'am to go next.
So nice to see Rama madam here. So I keep asking madam how she manages at home with that busy schedule at work. So let me tell my story or background. So I started my journey after my graduation as a lecturer, and now it is called as assistant professor in the colleges at NIT Warangal. It's almost like two and a half years. I was sincere. One thing I would like to tell is see, I am of the opinion we need to grow with the organization. See, what I feel is sometimes, like many times in the latest generation, kids and all, people think that I need to acquire this technology, that technology I have to acquire, then I can move like that. I always, how much you are contributing to the organization is something which is important. Once you know your organization mandate or what's the focus of your organization, what the organization has to deliver, and you contribute to that, automatically there is a growth to you. And there is a lot of learning. Learning is not just moving from one technology to the other. It is contributing to the organization by using all these technologies, solving some problem, whatever it is. But there is some mandate for every organization, and we need to understand that and then work accordingly. So that is my experience with NIT. I had almost 2.5 years. I had a good learning. Initial days, like after graduation, teaching is not easy. You all can understand, a lot of teachers here. So it's a tough thing, but I gained a lot of experience there, and I had some unique contributions also at NIT Warangal, which even now they remember for a few things. But later, when I moved to Hyderabad and shifted to CDAC, I was not aware what the organization does. Just with some reference, they asked me, why don't you try to support this team at CDAC? And then that I became a regular member. So from day one, I was committed to whatever the efforts I am doing it, whether it is education and training, or I remember the first R&D proposal which I have written at CDAC with my seniors experience, because I never had any experience with research prior to that. So that's how we went, we backed the project, we have built the solution. But after one project to the other, in some cases, outcome is not very successful, very promising. But if any R&D project, there is a learning. I always took that particular learning and tried to go ahead further. And this has given me a lot of knowledge and at the same time experience to perform better in the organization and deliver better. So I still remember my first R&D project outcome was a kind of POC, proof of concept. Just we could demonstrate, but I cannot deploy anywhere in the field. But later, over the period, now I'm planning the projects. After 2-3 projects, I felt that if it is a 3-year project, I should deliver the outcome. Our working prototype should come out after 1.5 years itself or 1 year itself. I need some time to carry out lot of field deployment, learn from the field, and then productize, make it a robust system. So these all happened over the journey. And I am proud that I am contributing to the National Technology Organization, contributing to the society through various products and solutions. And talking about leadership, I feel like it is a natural transition for me. I never tried for any kind of leadership roles, but I was committed to my each and every responsibility. And I used to make sure that there is a delivery happening at the end of each of the activity what I take it up. I feel that is something which is important, especially not as such directly learning technologies, but you try to work something in line with the organization requirements. This is what I adopted. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. As you said, grow with the organization and learn as you grow. Nice one. Harshita, ma'am, your views?
So
I think my thought process is almost in line with Ishwari ma'am. So it's like I have almost started my journey. I think even from my profile you can see. I've started my journey as a layout engineer after I completed my diploma. And then I think within 1 or 2 years, I also had got an opportunity to lead a team of 10 members. So this is how somehow I was more confident and comfortable leading the team and also doing the job myself. And as days went, I also, from the company and the interest of the company, we also started taking people, freshers from the college, and we started training them, and they are also now independently working. So somehow I always like taking new or fresh people from the college and training them and getting them on par with the industry again. And this is a motivation which is actually pushing me even now. So this is actually helping me. And talking about leadership, it was like I'm just doing that act from long time, and I was luckily promoted also from the management as a senior manager. And I think one thing, at least what I think is important for any person is whatever job given to you, do it with interest, dedication, and full commitment. So I think this is the only thing which I have been following from the day one. And almost, I think, at least in my job, it's almost the deadlines never change. So when there is a deadline, whatever shift is coming from the start is actually pushing it on the deadline day. And we are the actually fag end of the deadline part. So we have to deliver on that day. So when we have to do this, sometimes maybe we'll have to extend our hours, days sometimes. So here I think I have more support also from the colleagues of our company and from the family, which helped me to rise to this position now. Yeah, but at least for the new or people who are graduating now, one thing I say is whatever you are doing, do it with commitment. I think you will see the success.
Yeah, as you said, deadlines make us work faster and maybe more effective. And of course, as everybody mentioned, the support of our peers, family, everything contributes together for our leadership position. Ramlata ma'am, I would like to next ask you, like, you are a strong advocator, I would say, of sustainable technology or sustainable development. What innovative practices of strategy have you observed that has blend the sustainability with advancements in the innovation, automation, and computing? Could you name few that you have come across or you have noticed?
Sure. In fact, innovation and advancement both are on par with the sustainability, because every time a technology advances, the creators of the technology always think about the sustainability also. For example, the AI application wise, if you take the AI algorithms and the models that we develop, they are for energy consumption. At the same time, they are also consuming energy. So both the sides are there in any technology. How we take it, that is the most important one, and how we apply it. And that is where I think everybody should be trying their hands out in technology, especially in the renewable energy area domain. We find that the optimization and maybe the computing, carbon aware computing, uh, then energy efficient hardware that we can use, all these areas are developing so fast, and it shows that everybody is thinking about sustainability. So if you think the advancement of technology, then the advancement of technology also comes with the responsibility of the technology. And that responsibility is right now being felt by not only the creators, but also by the users. So everyone who are using it, they also first ask about how much of carbon emission does it make, and what are all the things that they can do when using this technology, because you cannot avoid technology, but at the same time, what they can do to retract the bad effects of those technologies. So I think we are moving in the right direction, and we are doing it with sustainability.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. As you said, carbon footprints is a very common topic and much concerning one as well. And because you're working in the field of sustainable and development area, I believe that your focus, your prime focus would be to minimize that as well. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to ask Ishwari, ma'am, like, ma'am, yeah, I thought ma'am will have tea. So I'm happy to have over here Ramadevi Lanka ma'am, who is the Director of Emerging Technologies of Telangana government. You can join us, ma'am. We have always seen you only in photos and so it's really a pleasure for us to have you amidst us. And ma'am would be the chief guest of today's Lalita Memorial Lecture. It's a honor for the Women in Engineering of Hyderabad section to felicitate you on this momentous occasion. And thanks for joining us in the panel discussion as well. So as I was mentioning to Ishwari ma'am, ma'am, you are in CDAC for quite a long time, and we have seen several innovative technologies or products, I would say, that CDAC has been producing. Can you mention one particular thing that you would like to share with the audience over here? A groundbreaking innovation or a groundbreaking technology that CDAC has brought outside. So one particular thing, if you would like to share with the audience, which would inspire them or which you feel that would be inspiring, could you share one?
So let me talk very recent outcome. There are many groundbreaking things and important things from SRIDAC. The very existence of the organization is because of the supercomputer initiative. When US they need to give supercomputer to India, at that time the CDAC organization was created by the government towards generating the indigenous supercomputers within the country. So over the period, CDAC is working in various technologies and different solutions are evolving, like along with that emergency response system, which is almost deployed in 36 states across India. Like right now, if you look at it, 112 is a single number for any kind of emergency service. The entire system is deployed across various states from CDAC. Even, what is that, telemedicine, especially during the COVID time, when people were afraid of going to the doctors, actually physical contact and other things. So this telemedicine, Sanjeevani became very popular. Almost 3 crore consultations are completed in that. So like that, there are many things, but let me talk about one solution, which is very recent one. We have worked on something called as the National Blockchain Technology Stack. So prior to that, actually, in order to enable the trust in our digital systems, okay, so this technology is widely used, especially like in terms of land records or even education certificates, tamper-proof storage and without intermediaries coming to picture and all. So one thing I would like to share, we work with Rama Madam in implementing for the land records and even e-voting jointly. We worked in that particular thing for the blockchain. But later what we felt is, as a technology organization, our goal should be more building the stack for blockchain so that it should become easier for the organization to develop the applications. So now what happens is anyone want to build the applications, even the learning curve to understand the technology and that becomes, it's almost like 2-3 months minimum effort. So what we thought is, why don't we try to build the technology stack with all the enhancements in terms of security, scalability and other things, and give that stack to the nation so that the people can try to build on top of it. So with that, we have started in the year 2021. Very recently on September 5th, I think our secretary launched the stack now. It is available, and using that stack, we are working with the various state governments. One application which we are targeting is fake medicines. So many times, almost I understand 20 to 25% of the medicines are fake in the market. So it's very difficult to detect the genuine manufacturer coming from the genuine manufacturer or fake kind of thing. That is one thing. E-stamps, there are frauds. There are many things like that. So one is the land records and like that, education certificates, caste certificates. So we have almost half a dozen applications we are building now with the different states using the technology stack. Shortly, we are going to conduct a hackathon through our ministry for building the applications through the various startups so that they can start build applications and they can proliferate across the various states. This is one initiative, but there are many things like that. We have a lot of solutions in the mobile security. You can go to Google Play Store. MKavach 2 is one of the solution. MKavach 2, you can go to Google Play Store, you can download and install in your Android phone. It's basically endpoint security for Android phones. There are a lot of things which we work with the strategic agencies and support them in analyzing the applications to identify fraudulent apps like that. A lot of tools are developed in that direction. These are some of the things. You can visit our site to know more details about it.
That's too many. We are surprised, not surprised, I would say. We are astonished to have, to be listening to so many advancements. And we are proud, in fact, that India is improving and growing. So we do have Rama ma'am over here. So ma'am, I'd like to ask you, like, being a leader, that too as a director of emerging technology of government of Telangana, we are last few years we have seen emerging technologies everywhere, AI, cyber security, name what, everywhere the government is been encouraging and motivating all the members to gain knowledge. So where do you think the women are actually standing in the emerging technologies area, especially in Telangana? And what would you suggest them to acquire for them to come into leadership position?
Sure. Am I audible?
You are.
I thought, to save time, let me actually speak now rather than later. There is another session, right? I said, let's not have
This
that.
can be crisp, ma'am, but the other session you can
I'm
be
saying, why
elaborate.
don't we actually include that as well in this? Because it's already getting late for everyone. Is that okay?
Maybe after one more round, there is still Kumudini ma'am and Harshita ma'am. After this round, we will begin with that.
No. What I'm saying is, let's
Yeah,
not
I can
have-
understand. Yeah, we can club both. Yeah,
So that's so
I
my answer
understand.
will be based on that.
Yes.
That's what I'm so that
Please
we
go
can
ahead,
avoid-
ma'am. Yeah.
No, I'm okay with any of the ways. Which way?
For now, you can be crisp. The next question that I'll ask you can be elaborate.
All right. Well, as you rightly said, there are very few women in emerging technologies. In fact, it will be between 20 to 25% women representation in all these technologies. It varies for each technology, but overall it will be bit less than 25% is what various reports indicate. So, and what's the reason? There are many reasons. But when I see so many women talking such, technological work that they're doing, sometimes I feel is really a gap exists. But yes, unfortunately, the statistics say, only less than 25% of women are in these technologies. So there are various initiatives. Your question is on leadership, right?
Yeah, what should, where are actually women standing in the emerging technologies, and what qualities do you believe that women should acquire to reach the leadership position?
Sure. So as I said, only 25% of women, are in these technological areas, and to attain leadership position, first of all, even in the leadership positions, women represent in a single digit. I would say less than 10%. If you look at most of these MNCs, what they say is at the entry level, they have enough, women candidates entering the workforce. But as time goes, say they get married, have children, their focus shifts to, family. So that's where actually at the middle level, women they drop off from the service. So it's difficult for them to find suitable women in the top leadership position. Because the talent, when you have, say, X talent at the entry level, by the time they come to the middle level, that X is actually getting reduced. So as you go further, that number keeps on decreasing. So what do we do to have enough representation of women at the top? So that, see, if you have enough people, then the organizations would also choose, leadership positions from them. So for that, a number of organizations are actually taking different initiatives like, providing child care at the organization. These may sound trivial, but these are the ones that really help women to go to the next level in the career paths, because family care is the biggest one that's taking away the time. In fact, I was attending a session organized by the World Economic Forum a couple of years back in Mumbai. Arundhati Bhattacharya, she was chairman of SBI, so very senior leadership position. She said the same thing. So what SBI did was, they actually conducted a program for women to come back to work when women take, say, 3 or 5 years, whatever leave. So they actually ran some programs to get back the women to workforce. While a few women, they actually preferred to come back, but the positions were something like that. When they started the career, all their male colleagues, they actually went ahead and they're in higher positions. So when they came back, they had to report to them, which they did not like. So some of the women dropped off from this total, program. A few women did take that opportunity, but, when another important thing for women is, okay, child care is one thing. Second, elder care is another, part of responsibility that women has to take care of. Then again, when that comes, they again take a break from the career. So, and this is happening for most of the women, So that's where support from the organizations, from the society, from the family is required. That's number one. So, and specific initiatives to support women from the organization as well when they come back to work, or when they're facing these problems within the family, like probably flexible timings, a little leave. While certain MNCs have given, what you call paternal leave also, so that the husband can also take care of the children to reduce the burden, or the women can go back to work. But, a few men are actually using that paternity leave to carry out their studies or research work. They're not really using to help women, So there's so many things that needs to be changed, cultural barriers are there, total mindset needs to be changed. So many things are there, that have to be actually indicated. So essentially, number one, support from the organizations, from the society as a whole, number one, and certain training programs, that actually make women, lead to the top. Of course, now government has actually mandated that all the boards should have 30% women representation. That is in a way helping, organizations. So certain kind of incentives, certain kind of, those affirmative actions would really help women take leadership positions.
Yeah, rightly said. Crèche or a daycare center really speaks a lot than the incentives or thing, at least for a new mother, because each of us would have crossed that stage. And rightly said by you, ma'am, like this 30% reservation, it really helps at least at the beginning, because women tend to come into workforce after a period of a maternity leave or something. And I would also like to specifically mention over here, we have one online panelist, Dr. Ramalata Marimuthu, who is the founder of Returning Mothers Conference, where she has, made more than hundreds of women return back to workforce by giving them free knowledge or free education in by forming a MOU with Amazon and several industries like that, so that the gap what they have can be bridged by giving them some good education or some good technology oriented support and get them back to work. So recently we had had this conference. It is an annual one, and this recently we had an IISc Bangalore last month. So I'm happy to have over here one of our panelists, Dr. Ramalata Marimuthu, who's the founder of the Returning Mothers Conference. Like this, there are several organizations who have taken efforts to make women come back to workforce. Kumudini ma'am, the next question is to you. We have known you as a very good mentor. So tell me what specific characteristic you would think that women look for in a mentor. So generally women who try to come to leadership position, what type of mentors do you think they look for? Or maybe you can even say about what, as a mentor, as you yourself are a mentor, what are the basic qualities that you would suggest for women to reach the leadership level?
Oh, thank you so much, Hari. And I think this is a very important aspect, mentorship and support. In fact, I would also like to agree with you and with the other panelists as well that women usually tend to have a lot more caretaking responsibility. But at the same time, if given an opportunity, I think we are also the ones who, show up at work, are more dedicated, are more loyal. In fact, there are several, management studies, research studies that have been conducted where they actually have shown how women tend to be much better at work. They are good with communication. They work together as teams much better. So that is one part of it. The other part of it is, I think, one of the biggest challenges for most women is this sense of lack of confidence, I must say, because I think we are conditioned to believe that, asking something for yourself is being selfish. So a lot of times women also don't necessarily ask for that raise. They don't ask for promotions. They want to be recognized by the other, it's like the appreciation needs to come from the other person. They feel that I have done my duty, I have done my work. It is for the management to recognize me and, they will give me what is due. But that doesn't necessarily happen. So I think one of the main things that I have seen with the mentoring that I have done and with the women that I have interacted with, the ones who I have coached, they may be in the highest of positions, but there is always that self-doubt, that sense of, am I doing enough? Am I enough? Am I good enough? So I think that sense of vulnerability that is there, I think mentors need to be aware of that, and they need to provide them that additional support and that confidence that, hey, you can do it. And we also tend to, I mean, as women, I think the focus is more on what goes wrong rather than what we have done right. So that can also tend to become a vicious cycle. So I think it's also important for mentors to recognize this and support their mentees about this. So I think this is very important. The third thing, what you were talking about, Ramlata ma'am's work for returning mothers, the upskilling that is required. I think it's also important to recognize that, every time we talk about this being a career break, for example, it's not really a career break so much as it is upskilling in a different direction. Because any of these caretaking responsibilities that you take on, you're actually building up on your skills. You're increasing your empathy. You're increasing your ability to coordinate things, to multitask and so on. So sometimes how you learn to brand yourself and how you project yourself also becomes very important. I think that is something that as mentors, we need to support our mentees to understand that, this is not just about taking a break, but actually building your profile in a different manner. And it doesn't have to be only technical skills. In fact, women tend to do much better in program management, in project management. They have a better eye for quality and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of roles that are also very streamlined for women. So I think it's also important to recognize where it is that you can create maximum impact and take on those roles. I'm not saying that we are not good in technology. In fact, we can be extremely good in technology. It's just that women always tend to take the back seat when it comes to speaking about their accomplishments and so on. So I think that is where panels such as these, or opportunities or platforms such as these conferences, actually encourage women to go out there and present their work, and find not just that appreciation from outside, but also build their confidence. So these are the things that I think a mentor should also be aware of and support their mentees. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, rightly said. Mentoring is, I mean, most of us have realized the importance of mentoring, and women have some specific qualities which I believe can be